We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chi Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty.
Was this the right verdict? Comment yes or no. A 14-year-old put the water back. They chased him 130 yards away, shot him in the back, and the jury just said not guilty. I'm going to break this entire case down from a law enforcement perspective that you are not going to hear anywhere else. Stay with me, because there are details in this case that most people are completely glossing over, and by the end of this video you're going to have a full picture of exactly what happened, what the camera showed, what the jury struggled with, and what I think about all of it after 12 years as a police officer and 25 years as a licensed private investigator. I'm Lance the PI, Sacramento's #1 live streamer. I've been a licensed private investigator for over 25 years and a police officer for over 10. I have been on scenes like this. I have written reports like this. I have looked at surveillance footage like this on both sides as the police and as a criminal defense investigators. So when I tell you this verdict hits different for me personally, I mean that. This is not just another reaction video. This is a law enforcement breakdown from someone who has lived this work. Let me start from the beginning, because a lot of people jumping on this story right now do not have the full background. Cyrus Carmack-Belton was a 14-year-old. 14. It was Memorial Day weekend, May 28, 2023. A Sunday evening around 8 p.m. Cyrus walked into Rick Chow's Express Mart Shell Station on Park Lane Road in Columbia, South Carolina. He was a kid. He went to the water cooler. He took out 4 bottles of water, and then he put every single one of them back. That is not my opinion. That is not the prosecutor's spin. That is what Rick Chow's own surveillance cameras showed. His own cameras, the cameras he installed in his own store, caught Cyrus putting the water back. Drop a comment right now. If you own cameras provided no theft happened, do you still chase that kid? Yes or no? But Rick Chow, his wife Alice, and his son Andy were watching that boy with suspicion from the moment he walked in. And when Cyrus walked back toward the front of the store, they accused him of stealing. Cyrus denied it. He grabbed his backpack and left. And let's back up a little bit. When he initially came into the store, they asked him to leave his backpack at the front, which he did. That should have been the end of it. The kid is leaving. No water was taken. No theft occurred. It's over. But Rick Chow and his son Andy did not let it be over. They followed that boy out of the store. And then they chased him. Not a few steps, not across the parking lot, 130 yards down the street. That is longer than a football field. Cyrus was running for his life. He lost a shoe. He fell down twice. He kept running. And when he got back up from that second fall, Rick Chow shot him in the back with a .45 caliber Glock pistol. Cyrus Carmack-Belton died that night. 14 years old, shot in the back, running away over water he never stole. Now I want to spend some time on this surveillance footage, because this is the most important piece of the entire case, and it is the detail that should have been mattered more to that jury. Rick Chow's own cameras recorded the whole thing. Inside the store, outside the store, the footage shows Cyrus at the cooler. It showed him taking the bottles out, and it showed him putting every single one back before he ever walked to the front of the store. The Richland County Sheriff, Leon Lott, said it was publicly after reviewing the footage. He said the shoplifting claims were false. The sheriff of the county looked at the tape and said, this kid did not steal anything. So here's the question I keep coming back to as a former law enforcement officer. If your own cameras prove no theft occurred, what exactly are you chasing that boy for? At that point, the justification is gone. The premise is gone. You are no longer a store owner stopping a shoplifter. You are a man with a loaded gun chasing a child down a public street for something your own cameras proved he did not do. Now I'm going to do something that a lot of reaction channels will not do. I'm going to give you the defense argument a fair shake, because if you want to understand how this jury came back not guilty, you have to understand what the defense was selling. Defense attorney Jack Swirling told the jury that this case was never about water bottles. He says it was about a father who saw a gun pointed at his son and had to make a decision. Cyrus was carrying a 9mm handgun with a laser sight. He was 14 years old and he was illegally in possession of that weapon. And during that 130-yard chase, the defense claims Andy Chow saw Cyrus turn and point that gun at him. That is what the defense built their entire case on. And I will be honest with you, if someone points a gun at your child, that changes the calculation. I understand that as a parent, and I understand that as a former cop. But here's the problem. Deputies who responded to that scene said there was no evidence that Cyrus ever directed that firearm at Chow or his son. No evidence. The gun was found near his body, but investigators could not establish that it was ever raised or pointed at anyone during that chase. Here is something that most videos on this story are talking, and it is one of the most important parts of this whole case. That jury did not breeze through the verdict. They struggled. Nearly 8 hours of deliberation. They sent multiple notes to the judge. They asked to hear the legal definitions of malice and murder read back to them more than once. At one point, some jurors indicated they were ready to go home. Judge Heath Taylor kept them going. He said the attention surrounding this case made him reluctant to stop the process once it had started. Think about what that tells you. These were not 12 people who walked in and said not guilty. These were 12 people who wrestled with this one for 8 hours. They were not sure, and that matters. Now let me give you my law enforcement take, because this is why you came here. I spent over 10 years as a police officer and over 25 years as a criminal defense investigator. I have been trained on the use of force. I have been trained on the exact moment that force becomes justified and the exact moment it does not. And I can tell you that the moment Rick Chow left that store and started chasing Cyrus Carmack-Belton down the street, the self-defense window started closing fast. Self-defense is not self-defense when you are the one giving chase. When you pursue someone, you are the aggressor. You do not get to chase a child 130 yards down a public street with a loaded gun and then claim you were defending yourself when you pulled the trigger. The prosecution said it better than I can. In what world do you falsely accuse a 14-year-old of stealing, chase that 14-year-old 130 plus yards down a road while you are armed with a pistol, shoot that person in the back, and then claim you are defending your son? That question deserves an answer, and I am not sure the jury gave us one. The Carmack-Belton family was devastated by this verdict. Their attorney, Todd Rutherford, has been practicing law for 30 years, and he said he had never seen anything like it.
I don't care what that jury said. There is no justification for that. It should never happen again, and it is not open season on black people for anybody to feel like they should be able to do it because the jury found him not guilty.
He said there is no way that a child who did nothing wrong and was shot in the back can be justified by a jury verdict. And he is right to be angry. The prosecution told that jury that Cyrus died scared. He died bleeding to death with Rick Chow's face being the last one he saw, surrounded by strangers. That is not a statistic. That is a 14-year-old child but the family is not giving up. They are continuing to pursue a civil lawsuit against Rick Chow. And I want to be clear about something. A not guilty verdict in a criminal trial does not mean a civil case cannot succeed. The burden of proof is completely different. O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of murder and then held civilly liable. This fight is not over for the Carmack-Belton family. The bigger picture here is something we cannot ignore. Attorney Todd Rutherford said it outside the courthouse, and I'm going to say it too. He said this is not open season on black people, and that needs to be said out loud, because when a jury finds a man not guilty after he chased down a black child 130 yards and shot him in the back over water he never stole, people are going to ask that question, and they have every right to ask it. The verdict is going to spark conversations about self-defense law, about race, about accountability, and about what it means to feel safe in this country. Those are not comfortable conversations, but they are necessary ones. If this video gave you a perspective you did not have before, please subscribe to Lancey PI. Hit that follow button. I cover breaking news from the streets of Sacramento and beyond. Cyrus Carmack-Belton deserves more than a headline.